While admitting that the fiscal deficit remains a major challenge, Finance Minister Arun Jaitley today told a gathering of chartered accountants that the legacy he had inherited was a huge challenge. The fiscal deficit in the first 2 months of the fiscal has already touched a whopping 2.4 lakh crore, constituting as much 45.6% of the estimate provided by his predecessor P. Chidambaram for the entire 12-month period.
In the governance of this country, particularly in the domain of economic policy, we had never used phrases like policy paralysis. And suddenly they entered our idiom. These phrases do enter our vocabulary when we find a sense of helplessness. And it is this sense of helplessness or anger which also results in a kind of determination to beat the trend and try and improve for the future. And suddenly we see, out of all this, a new hope has been raised.
So our very first operating line is what we refer to as supporting standards development. And we, the global profession, believe that high-quality, internationally accepted standards add value to the accounting profession because they are the foundation of high-quality performance. We also believe that the public interest is best served by the consistent adoption and implementation. And members of the profession here in India, that's where the rubber meets the road, with adoption and implementation. If we stop the process at just setting the standards, that would not achieve what we're wanting to achieve in this regard. So it is very important that we encourage adoption and implementation of these standards around the world.
Jaitley has to walk the tightrope between limiting the fiscal deficit and at the same time ensuring that sufficient funds are allocated for the social welfare schemes and big-ticket infrastructure projects in the highways and the port and power sectors.
India, which was falling off the global agenda, an interest in India has suddenly emerged. The responsibility now lies on us to respond to this new opportunity that has come before us. But this opportunity is not without its own challenges. Let us be very clear as to where we stand today. The legacy which I have inherited is certainly not the cause of envy to anyone. We've seen tax buoyancies which have gone down. Even though our current account deficit position has somewhat improved in the last few months. That seems to be a silver lining. But the fiscal deficit is a major challenge. So you have growths which have slowed down. You have a high fiscal deficit. You have a rate of inflation which in comparison to the last 2 years has somewhat come down, but still is beyond the acceptable limits. And when I said you have a loss of credibility in the Indian economy, the fact that the world suspects that we don't have a stable tax regime itself has dissuaded investors. Just as policy paralysis was unknown to our governance vocabulary, The other new addition which I've been reading comments from independent observers, including the media, is tax terrorism.
Powered by NNIS.